Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. It has been probably 4 weeks, maybe longer, since we have gotten a video out. So much craziness. Christmas, Thanksgiving, New Year's. AJ had a new beautiful baby girl. Wish him congratulations on that. What we're doing is we're compiling probably a couple of weeks into one video. Also, the wiring has been just, I probably have 20 hours into wiring. Nobody wants to sit and watch that. So what you're gonna watch is gonna be kind of a compilation of a few weeks plus today. We pulled the fuel tank out to get ready to put these new threaded bungs in for the fill neck. My brother was nice enough to make me a driver for these. Turned out really sweet. We got that, goes on the grinder. We'll put that in today. We're gonna try and finish up the wiring. We did a first start by the Jeep key. I had a wire mixed up on the throttle pedal so the engine wouldn't start, and Chrysler, in their infinite wisdom, uses 4 relays to control the starter solenoid. Absolutely crazy. So we gotta figure that out today. We are hoping to hear this thing run again. Now, I already fixed the wire. So excited to hear this thing run, and hopefully by the end of the day, we can start this by the key of the Jeep and turn it off. That would be absolutely fantastic. I forgot that my fitting for the fuel tank for the straw we're building, I wanted to braze a line in, so it's a straw. So this will thread into our fitting we're gonna put into the tank, and then we'll thread this fitting in here for our nice heavy duty fuel line. I need to make a straw that goes down to the bottom of the tank, and I didn't do that yet. I've been too busy. But super excited to get back to this. It's been forever. Last week, the high was 0. Now, we had this cool little heated space, but I'm sorry, we were freezing before we even got here. It's almost 30 in here now, so that's a plus. But let's get going on this and see if we can make this thing run. We got our transfer case in here, which you can't see. We wanted to kind of see how that plays out. Our fuel lines, I'm using the van fuel lines, there we go, that come off the back of the motor and went around the transmission. And originally I was going to use the bracket that was on the van, but this transfer case is kind of in the way. So what I was wondering is, here's the fuel pump and fuel filter assembly. If we took this off and moved these wires, it's going to hang down, but could we essentially do something like that? It's actually not terrible. Don't know where our exhaust is going yet. Who needs exhaust?
Right out the hood.
Yep, right out the hood. But that wouldn't be terrible to mount it right there. So we might try and take these off the plate and see if this will work. We'll bring you back here in a minute. We did the right thing, and we just pulled these brake lines out of the grommets here and just shoved them up over top of the frame. It'll be fine. We're going to go ahead and cut this bracket off because it's in the way and the exhaust isn't going here anyway. We might just dump the exhaust out the side, I don't know. But let's cut this weld off here. Should I say spot weld, since I like to do that? I like the location, but I think what we're gonna do is we're gonna make a bracket. This bracket here just doesn't really work. We're gonna make a bracket so we can get them up here. Then we're only hanging down, we're not actually hanging down below the transmission cross member. We'll get these unbolted, see what kind of bracket we need to make. We'll replace this little piece of hose, because it's not really in great shape anyway. It's a lot easier to just cut it and we'll replace it later. Of course, probably a knife would have been easier, but we don't like doing things the easy way here. I don't really care about this. I've deleted them on everything. I'm not even sure I'm worried about the heater, but the pump is kind of important. That's why we're putting the pump on here. So there's no filter on the engine like a regular Duramax. Here's what we came up with. This very precisely cut piece of metal here we found laying on the floor. Drill 2 bolt holes, bolt on there. We're gonna mark these 2 bolt holes right here on the frame. We're gonna drill those, and then I think what we're gonna do, because we have to take into consideration the head of the bolt here, is I think we're just gonna weld a nut in each spot over the hole we drilled on the frame, and it'll bolt up, give us a little space here, and be rock solid. Let's go mark the frame. I cleaned up the frame where I so nicely cut way too far to get that bracket off, and we got our nice bracket on our fuel pump. What we're gonna do is we're gonna mark where we want this. And I was trying not to, it's a fine line between touching the floor and touching that line. This line right here is being a real pain. I don't know exactly how this is gonna work, but it looks like we need to cut that ear off, which I can work with. Did you get the leaky one?
Yep, just for you.
Alright. Is that level? Can you see that?
Yeah, sure. That's level.
There we go. Expertly marked. So what we're going to do is we're going to drill a hole in each one of those, and then we'll make sure they fit. We'll weld the nut on each one. Maybe weld the nut right here to kind of give a little extra support. But I think that's going to work really well. Since we're drilling by hand, we'll start with the little one. We can't flip this thing over and put it in the drill press very easily.
It's because Tim's so weak.
Yeah, that's it. And then theoretically we should center punch these, but we're not going to. There we go. All right, there's one. Now, can we get the drill in here? Oh yeah, with room to spare.
Problem is when you get to the bigger bits.
Shh. Come on. There we go. Oh, great, you're gonna film me. Well, there's one.
Tim lost his nuts, so he's looking for him.
All right, this is easier said than done. In my head, I was like, oh yeah, this is gonna be really easy. Yeah, not so much. So we gotta try and get that somewhat centered in the hole. Good luck with that. Fire in the hole. That didn't really stick. No, I'm not wearing my glove, that's smart. Feel the burn. Whoops.
Yep.
Didn't even hit. Again. Oh, I still didn't. One more time. Somebody doesn't know how to weld. There, and there's actually room there. That's perfect.
Classic Tim getting in the way of the shot.
Yep. My big head.
At minimum, this is looking pretty good, even though that piece that we made was jankety.
We got the pump mounted. We drilled these two holes right here. If we just went through the frame, it'll work. This guy right here is gonna mount just like this. That's enough. We can make an S into between the two. And then what we'll have to do is figure out how exactly I'm gonna do these. I don't quite know yet if I'll cut the hose off wherever it attaches right here, and if we'll S it in, I don't know. And then these return lines here, we gotta figure out as well. But that's something, we got that part figured out. The next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna go ahead and work on dropping this fuel tank and figuring out what we've gotta do to, I'm gonna look at putting a straw into the top of the tank. I don't wanna do a sump like I've done in my other ones. We're gonna do a straw from the top of the tank in down to the bottom. We gotta figure out where the best place is to do that. I'm thinking over here, we got some room. I don't know. Let's drop the tank.
All right, what do you need from me?
50 pounds of $100 bills.
How much is that?
I don't know. Same as 100 pounds of $50 bills?
2.2 million.
I'd be okay with that.
Yeah. %. That's all you got left.
Okay. I think that's more, got more gas in it than I thought it did. You get some free gas, AJ.
Woohoo!
All right, so the reason that we pulled this out, well, there's actually a couple reasons. One, we've got to put a straw somewhere to be able to pull out of, and I don't want to rely on this line right here. That's got the pump in it. It's a total nightmare. What I need to do is I want to put a straw, like maybe right here if I have room. I don't know. It might have to be over here. But somewhere that there's room in the cavity of the cab and we can get all the way down to the bottom. And I figured probably the easiest way to do it is clean this all up, pull that sending unit out. We'll go ahead and pump the gas out and what's left. And then we'll figure out where that best spot is. I don't want to do a sump on the bottom, I want it to be on the top. This fill neck is 1.25 inches, and for diesel that's a real problem because diesel foams. So this is what they call spin weld, where they have an attachment that spins it and the friction causes heat and melts it together. I have some 2-inch barb fittings. I want to see if I can cut this one out and we can spin weld the 2-inch in, and it's just going to flow a heck of a lot better having a 2-inch in there. And then we also have to cap off all this emissions nonsense. The only thing we need is this 3/4 right here needs to be our new vent to go up to our fill neck and kick it off. But we'll plug all this little emission stuff. This will turn into the return. We'll cut the line off inside, and this will become our return. So let's get this cleaned up and get that sending unit out and see what we got. All right, we vacuumed the top of the tank off to try and keep from putting dirt in the tank as much as possible. This was literally completely covered in dirt. We're gonna see if we can make a spark while we're driving this off and warm ourselves up. We ended up having almost 8 gallons of gas in this tank, which my gauge showed like 1/8 of a tank. That's crazy. So we decided to drain it. I punched the rollover ball out. We drained the tank. Now, the first step is this little guy right here is a 1/2-inch pipe thread spin weld. We're going to put it right where that dot is, and this is where our straw is going to be. That's where we're going to pull fuel out of the tank. This is my first time doing this, so it's going to be a little interesting. What we have to start by doing is we have to drill a hole to fit this boss right here. This is what centers it. So I found a drill bit that fits ever so nicely right there. And we're gonna start by drilling a hole in this tank. Again, I've never done this before, so this may end poorly, or we might learn something together. We're gonna start by filling the tank with as much debris as we can. I like it. Point of no return. Well, not quite as smooth as I was hoping, but it should work. A twist drill is really not the best thing to drill in these tanks with. I have hole saws for the bigger ones. Let's clean the burrs off here. So now this is just the socket that fits this fitting really nicely, and it's just an adapter to go from 1/2-inch down to the 1/4-inch drive of the drill. And they actually make a tool for this that I refuse to buy because it's expensive and I really won't use it that much. But I think this should work. I think. So the whole idea is spinning it creates friction, which creates heat, and they melt together. So let's see if I can stabilize myself here and see how this works. Dude, I think that actually worked out really well. I might have actually gone a little deep. No, I think that worked out perfect. I think that sealed. It's good and solid. I mean, I believe it is. I think we're good. I like it.
That's pretty cool.
We just filled this, filled it full of goop and debris, but hey, I think that turned out good. Should we try the big one and see what we can mess up? Okay, so the next thing we got to do is we got to drill a 2.5-inch hole so this guy can go in there. And I don't know how this is going to work because there's already kind of a raised boss right here, but we're going to make it work. That's all she had. But it's stuck already. Yeah, the battery just quit. I mean, it's bonded. I don't know how well, but it bonded. So the battery pooped out on me before it was really there. But it seems to be sealed. It's all the way around. There's plastic coming out. It is supposed to be deeper, kind of like maybe not quite as far as that one. I guess worst come worst, this one did not go far enough, and I have 4 of these. If we have a leak or whatever, we can actually just take the grinder and just clean it off smooth and do it again, but I think it worked. this is what we decided to do for our suction straw. This is the size fittings for the hose that we're running off. And we just brazed a piece of copper in there. It didn't really turn out as nice as I was hoping it was, but in my head, it's gonna come out factory, you know. But anyway, this is gonna go in that 1/2-inch fitting, and we'll probably have to bend it just a little bit, but that's the lowest part of the tank where we put that at. We got a little braze on the thread, so we had to clean that up, but we think this is the length. And we're gonna try it and see how it works.
Don't make fun of our brazing skills.
There are no brazing skills to make fun of.
Exactly.
It's gonna be messy, but we're gonna make it. That's kind of the end result right there. Once it's down in a little further, I wouldn't mind being just a little bit closer, which it will be. I think that's fantabulous right there. So this will be the moment of truth if we break that off or not. And if we do, we'll just do it again. Stay. The reality is, I don't think it needs to be ridiculously tight. It will feel like. I think that's tight. And sealed, and it didn't break off.
First time plastic welders.
First time plastic. Put the sending unit back in. Oh, the other thing we did on this sending unit, if I could hold on to it, is this 3/8 right here that was originally the pump line, the pressure line, is what I'm going to use as my return. So I just cut off the pressure line inside, so it'll spray in here, but that's going to overflow. Doesn't matter. It just needs to get in the tank. These two tie together and go to the charcoal canister for the evap system. This goes to the front of the tank, just helps it breathe, doesn't matter. I've eliminated the charcoal tank, so those tee together, and then I'll just go straight up to the fill neck. It's going to work out perfect. We already got the O-ring. We cleaned all this up really good. We don't need that piece in the front anymore that we put in there because that's being eliminated. Okay. I'd say that's seated. I look backwards, look at that. Perfect. I mean, I did bend it in such a way. Nothing a little oil can't help. There we go. These aren't fun to take apart, but they guarantee it's not going to come apart on its own. And this is just return.
All right, so there's where the lines come out of the top of the tank. They come over here. Let's see if I can get a little darker. They run right up through here. Go on top of that cross member. See if I can get a light over here. And then they'll drop down to our pump. We're gonna have to figure out our fill neck. I don't know if I can shoot it from the back, but I'll try. Anyways, obviously we're gonna bump into some stuff, and we need it to be perfect if it was right here, but it's not.
We don't have a fill neck set up yet for the new fuel tank, so we're keeping our fuel lines running to the jug by the fuel pump. We'll do that next time. What we're trying to figure out today is, will it start, and then can we make it start by the key? Right now we know the stupid Chrysler is being difficult and won't let us start by the key, so I've got the starter solenoid wire right here. But I had a wire mixed up on the ECM going to the throttle pedal before that would not allow it to start. I have since fixed that wire. You can see the one dangling off there with the butt joint on there, the butt connector. Yep, there you go. So now we're gonna see that basically turned off fuel because that was hooked up wrong. So we're gonna go ahead and crank it with the key right here and see if it takes off. If it takes off, we're gonna see if it will turn off with the key. And then the next step is cleaning up this wiring and actually getting it through the loom, and we're so close. Let's see if it's gonna start. We found out we didn't have fuel. The fuel pump, the way we had the fuel pump kind of hanging high, couldn't suck the fuel up into the pump. So we laid the pump down so it's lower than the container, and it primed up. And then I think this battery I had is junk, so we put AJ's good battery on here. Now let's try it. Alright, we let our battery charge a little bit. We know we got fuel. Let's try it again. We really need 2 batteries when it's this cold. We got line pressure that time. Oh my gosh, it's so close I can taste it. Well, probably what I'm tasting is raw diesel exhaust, but we are very, very close. We have no extra codes in the computer. It's just not getting solid fuel. We got the fuel tank in, but the fuel pump is leaking for some reason. There's a little back cover that I had taken off reluctantly. I should not have done that. But I was trying to see if the return line had to be connected, and it does, and now that's leaking. So next time, we'll get the fuel fill neck on so we can actually put diesel in the tank. We'll get the fuel pump and the filter mounted. We'll hopefully seal that leak on the back of the fuel pump. We'll get this thing primed once and for all from the fuel tank, and then hopefully this will all be gone. The other thing is, I'll stop and get a battery. I know my battery's junk. It's just too cold for that one battery. We're not even pulling out this battery to make sure we give the ECM enough power. So close, we're gonna get there. If you haven't checked out the previous videos on this Jeep or any of our other builds, make sure you go back and check those out. We are back on this full time. We're itching to get this done so we can drive it. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll catch you next time.